Are you following? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes.
This is the first thing. Means whatever you are observing now, whatever you are following now, this is what something happens in the payer side. Payer nothing but insurance company side, not from the provider. Provider has already sent the claim form. Who is receiving it here? Other end is payer companies and other end. They are receiving the claim form. This is where generally these claims will be loaded into the core facets. Point number one. Now, the second one, whatever the required fields, whatever the claims they have submitted, let's say, for example, they want to make some changes in the fields. For example, claim form is there where you will have a patient number followed by subscriber ID, whatever the policy number, everything is there in that. Now they want to make some changes in the particular field which they have already taken. Okay, organization level I'm talking about. So whatever the required fields that are to be applied and all, everything can be edited over here. This is varying from organization to organization. So what are the fields that are to be edited? Who is giving the requirement? This requirement is something which will be given by the business analyst. Understood? Clear?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Right?
Yes.
Next, once they have done the editing, next is about validating the member eligibility. For example, a person has taken an insurance plan where he has undergone the treatment, and provider company has submitted the claim form to the payer company. What payer company has to do? Payer company has to validate the member eligibility again, because sometimes people are having two to three policies because they don't run with one policy. Sometimes some companies follow two, three policies also. They will see which policy is rightly suitable, and at the same time, whatever the members do, if a person is having a member, do we have a real eligibility or not? Everything has to be validated here. This is where generally validity of member eligibility comes into picture. So once validity has to check, because unless until there is no validity checking, normally we don't process further. Validity has to check, right? So validity has to check. Based on that, claim adjudication will be done. For example, a person has taken an insurance plan. Uh, Whatever the charges, maybe for consultation purpose or something, maybe some X amount. But the consultation amount which people have, provider company has mentioned there may be bigger. So there is some adjudication is required over here. Okay, they want some adjudication which is to be made so that whatever the necessary changes, everything will be made accordingly. That's where generally we have to validate the provider status. Not only the eligibility, we have to validate the provider status. Who is provider? Provider nothing but hospitals, clinics, and all. Normally, if you see, especially in healthcare, if you remember in the beginning of the classes, I told you there are two networks. One is East network, second is West network. East network, there are some list of hospitals, hospitals and physicians will be there. Even in West network also, we have the people. So these provider, whoever has submitted the claim submission, that provider must be a valid provider, because every provider will have a provider ID number. Everybody having a provider ID number. For example, if you have taken a health insurance plan, to make it very simple, I'll tell you. Whenever you have received a document of the healthcare document, if you remember, in back of the page, if you have received any hard copy or something, if you see back of the page, you can see the list of hospitals where this their health insurance policy will be accepted. Can you observe? Have you observed that?
Yes.
Yes or no? Right? So
Yeah.
we observe it. So there are some changes. There are some hospitals which will be added. Now this can be deducted sometimes. This can be added. Some hospitals will be removed from the insurance plan. Some company, some providers will add it into that. So this is a regular thing. That is depends on the back end business decisions or the strategies and all. This will go on. So whenever there is a claim processing happens through Facets, payer company, what they have to do, not only the validity of the member eligibility, they have to validate the provider status also. Understood? Clear?
Yes.
Right? So once they have identified and validate the provider status, they need to determine the service definition. Service definition means what kind of services provider has given to the patient. Means either it can be pre and post operational services, or it can be something maybe relating to scanning, or it can be x-rays, or it can be outpatient care, or it can be or it can be inpatient care, or it can be dental services, or it can be um, mental illness. For example, any mental illness and all, or any kind of autism services they have provided, right? So everything are comes under this service definitions, etc. This is where determining the service definitions is what something we do over here. So once service definitions has been determined, the next we need to check the duplication, because sometimes it is not something by knowing it will happen. Sometimes it happen unknowingly. What unknowingly? Sometimes there are some claims which will be submitted duplication, right? Submitted for twice and once and twice. So whenever they have submitted twice, what will happen? You will receive two different claim forms for the same person, for the same case. You are receiving two. So before you are processing the claims, what we have to do in the facets, facets will filter. Facets will filter and they'll identify if there is any kind of duplications are there. That duplications will be taken out from the system. For example, two different same for the same case, two different claim forms were submitted. It is not by intention, maybe sometimes by ignorance or maybe um, uh, by uh, by chance you may facets through facets you have received it. So you have to check the duplication. If there is any kind of duplication and all, that required duplications, everything has to be taken out. So
So
once
is
we
this
have checked,
automated, sir, or somebody will do it?
no, no, it's an automated. It is not manual. That's the reason why, if you remember, I told you about business rules. Do you remember that?
Okay,
Why
okay,
you are writing business rules? Business rule, one of the business rule is to check the duplication.
okay.
Understood? Clear?
Yeah.
This is not something you are doing manually. You are providing instructions to the system. System is doing everything automatically, because you get hundreds and thousands of claims every day to the claim application. Okay. You cannot do it manually being an individual. Yes or no? How many people are
Okay.
you are deploying? It is not something possible for us to do it manually. What we do, the application itself, its application itself will process it and do it. How this filtering process will happen? For this reason, whatever the requirements in context to the business rules will be written by the BA. Do you understand this? Clear?
Yeah. So when the claim comes, it may not be on the same day, right? So what does it do? This application will save
Every
all
day,
the.
every day, every day,
Okay.
whenever you have received a claim, for example, today on the first, today date, for example, we have received 100 claims, for example, okay? 100
Mm.
claims will automatically will cross check whether any, is there any duplications are there in this. For example, 100 claims we have received, actual claims for 96, for example, okay? Remaining four claims were duplicate. What will happen? System receives 100 claims, but actually, how many are actual? It is 96 only normal. Remaining four will be deducted from the system automatically. This will check and it will deduct automatically.
Okay.
Understand? Clear?
Yeah. 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 Got
System
it.
will do that. This is not something we are doing manually. Otherwise, why are we using applications?
Yeah. Yeah.
So system will do. How system will do? You have to provide instruction to the system in a form of logic. That's the reason why you are developing an application. Required code for a particular functionality has to be written by the developer. How developer can write? Developer will write based on the inputs given by the business analyst. That's where the requirements gathered by the business analyst by considering the business rules of the organization. Understand? Clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Right?
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. So once the checking of eligibility, everything happened, next they have to validate whether whatever the validation of the member eligibility, at the same time validating the provider status. Now what they do, they validate claims, whatever the editing and all everything will be edited by them. Next, this apply the claim checks edits. No check claim check. What is claim check? For example, cost was mentioned something, but as per the plan itself is concerned, there is some X amount of money is required, but whatever they have mentioned on that might be different, something more. So they have to verify again. What will do again, they will submit, they will raise a query to the provider company stating that this is what the cost that we are going to provide for the particular insurance plan, and this is what the eligibility for them, but the kind of cost which you has mentioned for the is this. For example, two time x-ray is taken. Normally it is eligible only for one time, 2 time X-rays was taken and 2 costs was mentioned in it. So what provider payer want to know? Payer want to adjudicate it. Payer want to adjudicate whether what is the reason behind having two different X-rays was taken or not. So they want to cross check everything. So once they cross check everything, if they are really satisfied with it, they will be moving further. Otherwise, they will follow the same. Understood?
Okay.
Understood? Clear to you, right?
Yes.
This is what generally we do in the checking application logic. Next, after that, validate authorization edits and all. Next, we need to apply claims relating to checking edits. That is what generally we are applying the claim checking edits, everything over here. Once we have applied, what will happen? We need to determine the service pricing. That's what I said. For example, X-ray. Which X-ray is for $12, for example. For example, $12. 1 minute, Naglakshmi.
Yeah.
Please be online. Okay, sorry, right. So apply the claim checks, edits and all. Next, we need to determine the service pricing. For example, as I told you, X-ray cost is $12. For example, okay, $12 is the X-ray cost, right? The one which they were mentioned is somewhere around 24. 24 means 2 times X-ray was taken. How much cost to be taken? Either it is a 12 or 24. For that, what they do? That's where generally claim adjudication come into picture. If they are really satisfied based on the reply given by the provider, automatically $24 will be calculated. Otherwise, they will be taken only $12. So service pricing means depends on the service which it is. For everything, there is a price. X-ray, there is a separate price. Scanning, there is a separate price. Ultrasound scanning, there can be a separate price, right? So maybe pre and post operational procedure, there may be a separate price. Overnight stays, there may be a separate price for that. There is some price amount which will be mentioned in that. Within the price amount only they have to pay. This is where we call it a service pricing stands for. Understood? Clear or not? Right?
Yes.
So once service price is done, the next to determine the service payment. This is pricing. This is payment. Payment means how much payment do we, what decision we have taken in context to the payment has to be decision. It has to be taken a decision here. Service payment has to be taken a decision. So once we have taken a service payment, the next we have to go for coordination of the benefits. Coordination of the benefits means what are the different benefits that are applicable over here that we will check. Understood? Clear? Right?
Yes.
That we will check. So once we have identified the coordination of the benefits, finally, we'll send the status report to the provider, whether it is to be paid or denied or pending. 3 statuses. One is paid, second is denied, third is pending. If it is paid, amount will be credited to their beneficiary account, to the provider account, point number 1. If it is denied, so there is a clear-cut information about the status, why it was denied and all, every information will be given by the payer. Otherwise, if it's a pending, it will be on state because they require some other more information to be taken. So for that reason, it will kept on hold. This is the claim facets processing steps, which normally being a business analyst, you must be knowing. Understood? Clear?
Yes.
Understood or not? Right?
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
So this is more important. So my suggestion to you, when you are applying for jobs, I recommend you tell them, no problem. Okay, no problem. You can tell them these are the processing steps in regard to the